Mallards, it is Sunday, which means it's time for a theme today, and today's theme is Twilight. Here is the important thing to know. Amanda, have you seen any of the Twilight films?
Yeah, I think I've watched the first one, maybe. I've definitely watched New Moon. I don't think I've seen any of the other ones.
Amanda, have you read any of the Twilight books?
Not.
Okay, so before we begin, Amanda, give us a brief overview of the Twilight Saga, according to somebody who hasn't read it.
So, I feel like it's not entirely fair. I feel like I know things about the series because, like, you pick things up living in a culture that likes Twilight. So I know there's this, like, vampire clan called the Volturi. I'm pretty sure they're, like, major players throughout the series. I think Edward's family... In the first one, I know that, like, the vampires and the werewolves are, like, feuding. I feel like that's less of an issue later. The, like, main plot is Bella and Edward's romance. There's a brief time where she's like, maybe I'll date this other boy, but she decides not to. She marries Edward, and they have a baby. And I think that's mostly the plot of the last book, maybe the second to last book. I don't know. And then I think more happens with the Volturi. That's what I know.
All right. I came to the realization as I went to rent these on Amazon that I have never seen Breaking Dawn Part 2, the film.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Wow, we're gonna be so drunk, and Breaking Dawn Part 2 is gonna be wild.
I did not realize, like, as I was going to rent them, I was, like, looking at because it does this, like, little trailer thing, you know? And I was like, oh, I definitely never saw this film. I've read all of the books. I know what happens, but I've never seen Part 2. We are going to play a drinking game, so expect this to get wilder and wilder as the day progresses. We have a 5-rule game. We are taking a drink when Bella does that thing where she bites her lip. When she does a thing where she touches her hair for no reason. If she's actively putting her hair up, doesn't count. But if she's just touching her hair, we are taking a drink if anyone sparkles. We are taking a drink if Bella and Edward stare at each other silently. And we are taking a drink if Bella does narration. We are one movie in, and I'm feeling pleasantly warm, and I'm excited for the rest of this. Watching Twilight, I had forgotten, A, how much I love Bella's big old truck. I really like Bella's big old truck. And B, I'd kind of forgotten my biggest problem with the first Twilight film, and that is how stilted the dialogue between Bella and Edward is. Every time they talk, it's like, I have, wait, come closer to me. First off, every time they talk, they are this close to each other. And then they say things like, they can't hear you.
You're like my own personal drug.
Can't be near you. I just can't be this close to you. I just can't. I can't be near you. I can't
your lip
be.
more, Megan.
I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah, also I'd maybe forgotten that Bella was vegetarian. I'm looking forward to the rest of these films. We are now going to watch the honest trailers and a review for New Moon since we're skipping this film. I understand why we're skipping this film. I am sad we're skipping this film because my Twilight films I prefer with, you know, the highest amount of Taylor Lautner. And this is the highest amount of Taylor Lautner, but I'm gonna suffer through this. Yeah, well, it's because the movie is not good. And this book is not good. But it does have more sexy Taylor Lautner than some of the other films.
And I love
And he gets a haircut.
the sexy Taylor Lautner content.
We have now watched the recap of New Moon. Do you feel prepared for Eclipse?
Emotionally, no.
Let it be known that first film ends with Victoria like grinning and then turning
And then
to black and white, and then there's
she's
no
Victoria in the second film. Yeah, that should have been mentioned. She does not exist in the second film. Let's go. What did we think of Eclipse?
Better than the first one.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
It feels a lot shorter, but is it technically longer?
It is
Yeah.
absolutely long.
It's 2 minutes longer.
That's wild.
The Bella Edward love story is the least interesting part of this story, and they just spend so much time on it.
Yeah.
And I'm
it's
just
true.
like, get back to the world building.
The nice thing about Eclipse is that they have regularly paced conversations. Is that they just lay in a field together and say, so I was thinking we should get married. And she's like, nah. And then she's like, you should turn me. And he's like, nah. But they have that conversation at that pace, as opposed to in the first Twilight film, that conversation would have gone like, I think we should get married. I want to marry you.
What?
And she would have been like,
What?
Sorry, she would have been like,
I'm not making this eye contact.
I can't.
My father.
Also, there's fights in this, which makes it better.
Vampires playing baseball is the best
No.
part of the first Twilight movie.
I mean, yes.
And also the best film scene in all of cinema.
Megan's got opinions. They're wrong. Because the best scene in cinematic history is the fight scene in Birds of Prey.
Ooh, you right. We can all
So
agree.
good. We are going to take a brief break, and then we're going to dive into Breaking Dawn Part 1. Another one of those Harry Potter ruined final films for everyone. Breaking Dawn Part 1 is the most drinking of all of the games.
We barely drank as a part of the game because nothing happened. We drank
we
the
drank
most
for
in
Anna
that movie for
Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick. And then we had to think of a new rule because she doesn't bite her lip and she doesn't touch her freaking
I
hair
just
in this
bit
film.
my lip.
But there's a lot of blood at the end, so we drank a lot at the end.
It just finally hit
Hit
Mallory
Mallory.
during
true.
this.
That's true. Okay,
And
so I've had some drinks, and Megan apparently posted a YouTube video for me, so I hope you enjoyed that yesterday.
Guess what? It's Monday, Mallard.
Yeah, it's Monday now.
We watched Breaking Dawn Part 1, and in
then
Breaking
also-
Dawn Part 1,
Taylor Lautner is,
wearing more
Pretty?
clothes, and it's unfortunate.
but then he's a wolf sometimes.
Yeah.
And then he's CGI as a wolf.
in the books, when Bella wakes up from doing it, she's just covered in bruises. And in the movies, I need a hand. In the movies, it's okay. I can just show.
Can you
In the
hold
movies, she
Jenny's
has one bruise here, and she's got like some bruises right here, and that's all they show. But in the book, she has so many more bruises than that.
Jimmy
And
loves me.
then they're like, "Oh no!" And Edward's like, "I can never sleep with you again because I gave you bruises."
How
Regular humans do that.
This was the 50 Shades inspo.
Yeah, clearly. After that, they didn't sleep together anymore, but it doesn't matter because one time is all it takes, and then Bella was pregnant. And this is why you should practice safe sex. And then Edward, like, straight up flips out. Like, Bella's on the phone and she's like, can vampires go into shock because Edward hasn't moved in like 3 minutes? And like, I don't know why she thinks that's weird because he spent the whole first movie just being like, and not moving. So like, why
then he
is this
drank.
any different? And now it's time for Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Which Valerie's never seen.
I haven't seen Breaking Dawn Part 2.
She's
And
right with
Amanda hasn't seen Breaking... What happens in Breaking Dawn Part 2?
The Vulturi come back because they were not in Breaking Dawn Part 1, but we have not finished their arc yet. Which
Yeah.
means I was right, and they are the main antagonists throughout the series.
Yeah.
All of my predictions are true, except a minor timeline error.
We have now finished Breaking Dawn Part 2. There are 2 parts. 2 parts. Because Harry Potter ruined the rest of films for forever. Amanda, what did you think?
That was
Did it end
Everything
the way
I
you
said
thought
was
it would?
correct.
Yeah. Your timeline was a little off, but like I feel like you got the points. Breaking Dawn Part 2 was wild.
I thought that these
There-
movies were better.
Things that I did not like.
The plot is bad, but
Yeah.
that's not the movie's fault. And the writing in like the first two movies is
The writing
bad.
in the first movie
but
is
we only
so
watched the first one, so it didn't seem as bad. But the second one is like also pretty bad.
And like the directing in the first one, I'm not a fan of.
But
because
then
it's
I
not
feel
good.
like the movies only get better. Like Breaking Dawn Part 1 is wild because like
Eclipse is definitely the best one.
Yeah, I agree.
But this one is good.
This one was fine. It was fine.
I wish that we got
I was
more
also
information
maybe
about.
just like the correct amount of intoxicated during Eclipse.
I think that Eclipse is the
I'm
most
just
fun.
tired.
It has a good amount of shirtless Taylor Lautner, which is how I rank the films. We haven't talked about the one thing about Breaking Dawn that is the worst.
What's that? The
baby.
creepy.
Renesmee's terrifying.
It's her face, and
They
this
like
is not news.
CG. It's so
Mallory
scary.
hadn't seen Breaking Dawn Part 2, which means she didn't know that Renesmee is scary. You all knew. Comment
She's
below if
scary.
you knew.
I knew.
She
Yeah.
knew and she didn't even see it. It's a meme.
We had a good evening, I think. Yes? Did everyone have a good time? It was
a
fun.
whole day.
Amanda, did you have a good time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Megan, did you have a good time? And I will see you tomorrow.